Hello and welcome to Content by Design. I am so stoked you are here. Let's dive right in because we've got a lot of ground to cover. So, in this workshop, you're going to learn how to create content that connects, engages, and actually moves people from just being inspired and just absorbing your content to wanting to purchase your offers and work with you because that is the point, right? You're going to learn how to use human design to unlock your natural content voice so that you can show up sounding authentic, feeling authentic, and actually enjoy using your voice on social media. Know what type of content to post and when to actually post it to get a specific result. Build intentional strategy that aligns with your energy and access a special invite into my next level support space. So, before we start, ground in, take a deep breath, and invest this time into taking in this information. We are going to cover quite a bit. You're going to receive a ton of value. So make sure that you've got a notepad. If you need to go grab one, make sure you pause this and give yourself the permission to take action on what you learned today. When you take this information and you actually apply it and you do something about it, you will change the way you create online. It will become easier, it will become more fun, and you will become more successful as a byproduct of leveraging this information. And so make sure you actually take it out into the world. It's so easy just to watch a workshop and be like, okay, that was cool, and never do anything with it. I really urge you to do something with the information you learned today because I've seen it when applied. I've seen what it can do for people, for myself, and also for the hundreds of clients that I implement this work with. And also, make sure you stay until the end to receive your free Notion workboard. So I've curated a Notion workboard that you can duplicate that have actionable prompts that go through each phase of what you're going to learn inside of this training. You will have prompts, you will have ChatGPT prompts, you will have descriptions of certain things that you're learning inside. And so this is to help you actually create something from what you learned today. And so make sure you stay until the end. What you'll see when this workshop ends, a page will pop up. You'll be able to duplicate this board and start taking notes and implementing what you learn. So I thought I'd dive into a little bit of my story. So I am Bee. I'm a human design mentor and business strategist. I've been in business for 6 years now. I started my business in network marketing and then I moved into NLP subconscious work. And now I've moved into business coaching after building a business for 6 years, building multiple businesses. I started just to see the thread with how successful business owners worked, how creating content that not only is magnetic and converts, but is backed by your energy and who you actually are. I really started to see this thread and I wanted to share this with the world. And so now I teach people how to build a business that aligns with their values, with their vision, that also is successful and sells, right? So I started out creating content purely from inspiration. It worked, but I didn't know how things were landing and it was so hit and miss for years. I'd put something out there and it would be really magnetic. I'd make sales, but I really didn't know like what I had done or the behind the scenes of why something was converting. And then other times things wouldn't convert and I would be left thinking, well, what is wrong with me? Why hasn't this worked this time? And so what I really didn't know is that I didn't have a plan. I didn't really know biopsychology. I didn't know any of the actual strategy needed. And I also didn't know myself. And so I was kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping it sticks and not really knowing what I was doing. So for a while, after dealing with some personal stuff in my life, I fell into a spiral of copying others. And so I kind of lost that spark and was navigating some PTSD. And when I was going through this, I started to kind of outsource my power. I was looking to everybody else. I was following the hooks. I was following the trends. And my business dramatically slowed down. I went from having a 50K in 8 months launch with my business to I think I made 30K that year when I was really just outsourcing my power and looking to everybody else. I lost my traction. I started doubting myself. And I actually even considered quitting the online world. Now, if you're here watching this and this is you and you're thinking, God, I feel the same, like I just don't really know what's going on. And honestly, like I feel like it might just not be for me anymore. You are here for a reason. You are watching this for a reason. And this is really going to help you just get back on track with doing it your way and actually doing it in a way that brings you in the results. So I really got very close to just throwing all of this in the bin. And I was attaching my worth to my metrics too. I remember posting content and immediately I'd be looking for how many likes I got, how many views I got, and it just wasn't helpful at all. And I was always pivoting because I wouldn't give things time to land. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was doing. And so I would jump from doing life coaching to business to human design. And I wasn't giving myself any actual space to see anything take traction because I just wanted to chase my passion and what felt good because everything felt terrible at this point. So I then got to a point where I was like, okay, if nothing changes here, I'm going to give up because I can't keep living this way. I was in survival. I was stressed. I was looking at every client like a dollar sign. And it just didn't feel good. And the reason I'd started this business was to help people and to have freedom. And I didn't feel any of those things, right? So then I started to look into the things I'd learned. Now, I'm certified in NLP and I had studied human design for 3 years prior to this. And I started to look at my human design. I started to look at, okay, what is my energy type and how can I start to weave this throughout my business? If it's working so well in my day-to-day life, then surely there's some stuff in my business that I can implement here. And so I started to combine my human design with my business. And what I also did was hire out somebody who knew real business, sales, marketing, and content strategy. And so a lot of what I learned today, a lot of what I teach you today is what I actually learned when I invested in the help because I knew I had gaps in my business. I knew that I needed to change something. I needed to learn how to actually run a business. And you might be nodding along with this, like, oh my God, yeah, me too. And it's really important. And so when I learned that, I fused both of them. I took the strategy and I took the energetics of human design and being authentic and being unique and everybody moving in different ways. And I put them together. And it worked really well. I had my first launch and I tripled my income. I had my highest cash month and I filled 8 spots in my program, the first launch of this program. And that was when I was like, okay, this stuff really works. And it isn't just strategy and it isn't just energy. It's the fusion of both of them. And so now it's my mission to help simplify the noise in the online space. You see so much out there of like, you have to do it this way or that way. I'm not here to tell you you should do anything. But what I really want to do is simplify and give you back the freedom to be yourself in your business, whilst also having a real tangible plan that supports you and brings you the results you can achieve. And so this is what we're going to do today. So let's dive into this piece because it's really important. If you are an online business owner, your business success relies on your ability to communicate through your content. If you are creating content as one of your main forms of becoming visible and selling your product, you need to be able to communicate that through your content. Only ever posting what other people are posting, downloading the templates and wondering, why it still doesn't land. How many of us have downloaded the 50 free hooks and we implement them because everybody else is doing them and going viral, and then we wonder why that's not working for us, right? Saying things like I'm working on it instead of actually sharing in your business. Oh, I'm just going through a pivot. Oh, I'm just surrendering to the process. Oh, I'll just journal it out. I need clarity first. Yes, and you're not sharing. And so, of course, you're not communicating. So, of course, you're not getting results, right? Another one, your notes app being a graveyard full of half-finished ideas. Okay, you've got so many content ideas in your notes, but again, if you're not putting them out into the world, people aren't receiving them, they're not buying from you, right? And pivoting every other week because you feel like it's not working after 2 days of trying something new. This just isn't going to cut it anymore, unfortunately. The online space is busier and busier every day, which, I'm not going to say it's saturated because it isn't, because every single person has a unique way of selling, and that's what makes it so fun. But if you're trying to be like everyone else and you're not actually learning what makes you tick and the real business strategy behind it, you are not going to see progress in your business, right? So what does actually work? Knowing who you are speaking to and learning how your person actually thinks, right? And again, you will be speaking to someone completely different than me. I'll be speaking to somebody completely different than you. Everybody watching this is going to have their unique person that they're speaking to. A lot of people skip this step. They don't get clear on who they're speaking to and learn how that person ticks and how they think and get inside their head. So this is so, so important. Also, creating from clarity, not this forced, like, I need to put out 5 pieces of content a day. That's just going to make you burnt out and you're going to hate your business. Also, having a plan that supports your energy instead of draining it. And messaging that actually you can get behind, that moves you, that you're like, oh my God, that's so good. Oh my God, I wish someone would have told me that. This is the kind of messaging that moves your audience. And also being in a rhythm that feels sustainable and feels strategic. Because again, if you are forcing yourself or you're copying what your coach says to do and you hate it, what results do you think you're going to see from your business? So when your content feels clear and in tune in your body, this is how it lands for other people too. And one thing that I really will anchor into, and this is why I don't only teach strategy, because it's so good, it's so well and good for me to be like, okay, implement this strategy, do it. But you don't want to sacrifice your well-being at the same time. Every single person is different. We have our beliefs, we have our limitations, we have patterns, we have capacity. You know, if you're a mom in business and someone tells you, hey, post this many times a day and follow this rigid schedule, but you have a newborn baby, well, there's a lot of different factors moving here. And like you might not have the capacity that somebody who has more time in the day that isn't employed, for example. You know, if you have a full-time job and you're running your business on the side while you grow it, again, it's about tapping into how much capacity you have and what you're available to do. So not sacrificing yourself in the process here. Content is not a numbers game, it is a resonance game. It is how resonant your audience feel with you, how much they trust you, and how much they align with what you are sharing is why they buy, and also whether you can solve their problem, right? So I love this analogy of, you know, those advertisements where people will write like, you know, work needed or blah, 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 and they have the tickets, right? So you can pull off a number and then you can contact the number and you can like rip it off. I almost see the profile grid as this. Every single post you create, every single piece of content is a ticket that people get to cash out, right? They tick it off, they tick it off, they tick it off. And then after a while, they're like, oh my God, I've collected so many of this person's numbers. You know what? Like, I'm going to go cash it in. I'm going to go actually contact this person. I'm ready to learn from them. They've shown me a lot. I've seen this over and over again. It's resonating with me. I'm going. And so not attaching yourself to every single piece of content here. Every single piece of content is a little nudge, a little ticket that someone gets to take that then takes them on that journey. And over time, if they're meant to be working with you, they will then be ready to convert, right? Pressure kills creativity. It's like a weed killer for creativity. Zoom out to this long-term vision, right? You're building a business. I know all of the posts online say, hey, I scaled my business to XYZ. I made this much overnight. Yes, that can happen. And to build something sustainable takes time. You're not going to plant a seed and expect it to grow overnight. It is the same with your business. You are not a machine. You're a cyclical, creative woman. And it's very important that you factor this in. So I want to tell you about my client, Kelly. So she's an emotional healing and human design mentor. These are some screenshots that she sent me whilst we were working together. She came to me with an amazing idea, really, really good at what she does. She's qualified, she's got experience, she's already been working and selling, you know, sessions here and there. But she didn't have a plan and she was a mother and she wanted space in the day to be able to actually work, but also have free time. And so she had the goods, but no idea how to actually sell it online. She was posting content and sometimes it would work, but also she didn't really know like when to post a certain thing and how to actually sell the product. And so she was kind of in this loop of trying to post consistently but burning out. She would have a holiday and then she would lose momentum. And it really felt like her content didn't reflect her depth and also the results that she wanted to bring in. She was attracting a specific person. She was attracting mums, but she wanted to widen that audience and speak to more people. And so what we did together is we mapped out a content plan based on her human design and the buyer journey. We got really clear on the different stages of content, the different types of content, which you're going to learn in this workshop. And she launched her first one-to-one program. Sorry, that says group, but it's actually one-to-one. She launched her first one-to-one offer with ease and she sold it out. So she wanted to fill a couple of spaces. I remember her saying to me, one is a bonus, right? Because this is like the first time she's launched it. And she filled 3 spaces. And now she is rinse and repeating that plan. So she's finished the launch. She's got her people inside, amazing success. And now she's moving into a different phase and she still gets to apply what we've learned because now she has a repeatable plan that works for her that brings the results in. So these are the results that she had. She literally signed these women in and not only were they, you know, they signed up so quickly, but they were her ideal client. And so she's loving the work she's doing because she's actually brought in the perfect person that's a match to what she does. So let's dive into the first half of this training. So this is going to be the human design segment. So we are not going to dive into what human design is here. It's not a kind of basics of human design training. I'm going to pull out different pieces, but in a nutshell, human design is a map of your energy. And so when you decode your human design, and if you actually need to get your chart, there's a free chart generator in my Instagram bio. You can go there, you can pause this, get it up so that you can refer to it or get it up afterwards. But human design is a map of your energy. So this is my chart here. It shows you where you're susceptible to conditioning, where your energy is more dominant, what kind of routines might fit you best, where challenges might arise. And so it's amazing to leverage in business. So it helps you tap into your strengths and avoid this kind of same strategy. You know, I would never give you my strategy because I'm different. And so if you try and apply what I do, it's not going to work. So when you can tap into your human design in your business, you start to align with your natural energy and you build a business model, offers, systems, and a plan that suits you. Authentic content does not come from doing more. It comes from knowing yourself. This is why when we see people online and they're super magnetic, you're like, wow, they've just found how to be themselves and they've paired it with strategy, right? So when you're matching this content to your natural energetics and what I'm going to show you soon, it feels better, it performs better, and it reaches the right people, right? This isn't just about your business. If you're, watching this workshop, you've probably followed me or you've landed here in as a result of seeing something that aligned with you. Your business is the vehicle for which you express your mission through. A lot of us here, we're not just doing it for the business, but we're doing it because it's our mission. We're doing it because it lights us up. We're doing it because we know we have a calling to help people in this specific way. And so when we learn that how we're meant to how we're meant to help people, how we're meant to show up, this is going to really land for your people. So how do we use our human design type and our strategy for content creation? So with human design, we have what's called a type and a strategy. Your type is kind of like the way that your energy operates, your unique aura, like kind of like a personality type, archetype. And our strategy is how we then attract the correct experiences into our world. And so when we know how our energy archetype works, there's 5 different energy archetypes, and how our strategy works, our magnetism, this is going to help us create content in a way that then brings people in. So when we're following that, it flows more easily because we're moving in rhythm with our energy, not against it. So let's dive into each energy archetype and their strategy. Like I said, there's 5, so we'll go through each one. So manifesting generators and generators, these two are separate types, but they have what's called a defined sacral, and so they are known as an energy type. They are a builder, a doer, a creator, and so content for this type starts with response. Manifesting generators and generators are built to respond to life. Their strategy here is literally called wait to respond, and so you're not just responding to invitations. You're not just responding to clients coming in saying, I want to work with you. You're responding to absolutely everything. So you might wake up in the morning and you have this rigid to-do list, but actually you want to go for a walk. Go for the walk. Because this is where you'll receive the ideas. This is where you might listen to a podcast that prompts you to create a certain type of content, right? So your ideas don't come from forcing them. The manifesting generator and generator energy type aura is open and magnetic. So it's bringing in the things that you're meant to respond to. If you actually trust that process, it's going to bring you the things that you need. But if you force yourself, you're actually going to miss those pieces. You're going to miss those cues. And so ideas don't come from forcing, they come from following your energy. Notice what lights you up and tune into the questions you're being asked or the problems you feel pulled to solve with people, right? So let's say you work with a client and they're talking about a specific theme. You might have something to say. Get on your stories or create a carousel, create a reel that speaks to that problem that your client was facing, and then show other people how you can solve it or show your insight, right? This is when your content will be most magnetic, building upon what you're already responding to in your field. If you've listened to a podcast or even this workshop where you're like, whoa, I learned this today and this clicked for me. Share on that. That's the kind of content you want to create. When you're feeling that internal yes, excitement, an opening, an expansive feeling, availability, this is your cue to create. So if you're a manifesting generator or generator, some content creation tips here are letting your environment spark your ideas. This could be conversations, questions, things that you're reading, podcasts, things that you're learning, people you're speaking to, your mentor, whatever it is. It can be literally looking out your window when the birds are chirping and you're like, oh, life is so good, blah, blah, blah. And then that turns into a content idea. It can be that simple. But always tune into, what am I responding to? What's energizing me in real time, even if it's not planned? If you're a generator or manifesting generator, a lot of the time you'll have these in the moment urges where something just drops in. Create when it's there if you can. If not, write it down and then respond to it again later. Share your journey, share your processes, share your excitement for something. Your aura is open and enveloping and magnetic. When you're in that light up, people will literally be like, I don't even know why I'm watching this, but she's so lit up. Like, I want a slice of that. Leverage that response, leverage that satisfaction that you're feeling. Use what's real, right? Don't force it. So prompts like, you can ask yourself, what's lighting me up right now? What did I just learn or move through that could help somebody else? Where am I naturally being asked for support or insight? Example here, and I'll use, business examples. Recently, I've been getting a lot of questions about how I manage my energy. Here's what's working for me. Here's why it shifted. Now, of course, that's a little bit robotic, but this is the kind of thread. And so the way I would do that is be like, okay, a lot of people are saying to me, when is my highest output in content creation? How do I batch content? Okay, well, I wait till my energy is really responding to something, I'm lit up, and then I'll record my content. This is why, because I know I'm a manifesting generator and I know this is how my energy works best. This is how you can too, and offer the solution. People are going to say, oh, cool, I'll book a session. All right. So it's really, really important. Again, if you don't know your type, get my free chart generator and you'll be able to pull that up whilst you're watching this workshop. The next type are the projectors. So these guys are here to guide with insight, not force. The projector energy aura is penetrating. You're kind of here to see the other person. And so a lot of the time, if you're a projector, you're going to see a lot of gaps in whatever niche that you've chosen. And you're going to want to speak to that. And so projectors excel at observing and guiding. Your best content is not about how much you can put out, how loud you are. It's about being clear, right? So when you share what you see at the right time, it lands really powerfully. So feel into right now, what are you being called to offer a new perspective on? What are you being asked to see deeper into and simplify when it's already complex for other people? And point people to what they really need versus what they think they need, right? So the projectors are here. If you feel that kind of invitation to share or something's coming up a lot, really share both your process, but also like, this is what I'm seeing in the world around me. So some content creation tips here are share what you're observing that people might be missing. You all think it's this, but it might be that, right? And don't be afraid to share that because you see what a lot of people don't. So if a lot of people aren't sharing that, this is why you're here to share this, right? You're the guide for people. Hey, like, look this way. This is what you need. Focus your content on offering clarity, on offering direction and refinement, not just doing the heavy lifting for others. You're not really designed to be a builder. You can still do work that creates stuff, but it's really about that underneath depth for you. Trust that the right people will recognize your insights without needing to force it. Again, this goes a little bit deeper into human design, but projectors are here to be invited. And so if you're kind of pushing and initiating a lot, it's going to feel like friction for you. And you may find that the content doesn't land. And so really waiting for that opening of what you really see before putting it out into the world. So some little prompts here are, what am I noticing that others are missing? What questions have I been asked recently that I feel invited to answer? Where do I naturally guide people without even trying? So an example here, everyone's focusing on X right now, but what I've observed is this. Here's a simpler, more effective approach you may not have considered. So an example here I could use if it was me was everyone's focused on using the viral trending hooks. But what I've observed is unless you actually know how you work and if you're lit up by those things, then it's not going to work. Here's actually how you can do it that you may not have considered. Have you looked at using your human design to create content? Have you looked at fusing that with strategy? Right? Ooh, okay, right? So this is how you go deeper. Next up is the manifester. So the manifestor's aura is filtering, right? So you are going to repel the wrong people and bring in the right people. But the way that you do that is to inform and initiate people. So you let your audience know what you're about to create before you drop it, what you're working on behind the scenes, and you initiate people into a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing, a new way of doing things. And so your content is going to lead the way for people. You're here to initiate new conversations, spark new ideas, and also bring forth change. And so, if you're wanting to speak on something or you have an urge to deliver something that hasn't been done yet, move that into motion. You are here to invent the wheel. You are a trailblazer. And so, your content comes from these urges you have of like, I need to say this, I need to speak on this. Now, a lot of manifestors will hold themselves back and be like, oh, well, actually, like, I don't want to say that. It's too ballsy. It's too bold. You're here to be bold. Share the thing. Don't wait for permission because it's not coming. You need to give yourself that permission, and you're here to share boldly and let people choose to come along on the journey. And so be inclusive. Like, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. Come with me. Become a part of this movement, you know? So content creation tips are sharing the why behind what you're doing, not just the what. So I'm working on this thing and this is why. I'm bringing this forward soon. Stay tuned. You're informing people and preparing them for the thing that you're about to release. Talk about the bigger vision you're building so people can choose to be a part of it and choose to keep watching. And think initiator energy, think leader energy, right? Start the conversations, introduce the new ideas, offer a new, bold perspective, do what people haven't done before. So prompts, what shift am I making and how is it changing the game for me? What do I feel called to start or speak on right now? What's the bigger vision I want to invite others into? So an example, I feel called to start this because this old way wasn't working anymore for me, for people around me, for my clients, whatever. Here's the vision I'm bringing to life and how you can be a part of it. So again, making that work for your niche, but that's the kind of energetics. And finally, our reflector. So the reflector is 1% of the population. They have a mirroring and sampling aura. So the reflectors here will have a completely white chart. So you're here to mirror the energy around you. You become a mirror for your audience, for your niche, and for the collective. The sweet spot here is observing trends, shifts, and collective energies and offering a reflection on it. This is what I'm seeing. A little bit similar to the projector, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm seeing. These are the shifts that are happening. You're really tuned into your environment. And also, if you're seeing something you don't like, share on that, right? So you're designed to be a guide and a mirror based on what you sense, not what you force. And so giving yourself permission to take your time. You do not need to rush your insights. You may find that you observe a pattern over a space of time, over when you're interacting with different people, different clients, different areas of your niche. Share that bigger picture for people so they can get a feel of, whoa. Like a good example here is like an intuitive healer. They're going to see these patterns over time and they can share it, right? So share what you're noticing in your community, in the collective, in your niche. Your gift is offering a perspective that others cannot see. Right? So this is where like underneath, what am I seeing underneath it all? What is that thread that's being woven? So some prompts here. What does the energy of whatever it is that you're, observing feel like to me? What shift am I feeling and what can it mean for others? And also how can you offer that solution through the work that you do? What's been coming up again and again for me, right? What's been coming up again around me with the people around me? Because for the reflector, the environment and the people you surround yourself is incredibly important. So an example here is lately I'm sensing a shift. I'm having these conversations. This is how I'm seeing people approach this. Here's my take on what's changing and how we can adapt, right? So that is the type piece. Now, again, like I said, I'm going to be diving into different elements of human design. So you don't necessarily need to know human design in here, but these are the pieces I find are really cool to implement with your business. So you'll then be able to dive deep in the Notion workboard later. So next up, we're going to dive into profile. So this is your content voice and your expression style. Your profile is like the costume of your personality. It shows you the role that you're here to play and how you're naturally wired to teach, share, connect, and lead. This is a clear tool for discovering your authentic voice because every single person, no matter how alike their chart is or alike their niche is, their profile is going to show them how they can show up in business most effectively. So, you might look at someone online and be like, whoa, they're just such a good teacher. Well, they might have the one line, which is the teacher, and they're here to literally be a teacher and explain things to people and break it down and how to's. Meanwhile, you might have a completely different profile and you're not designed to do it that way, but you like listening to them. You like learning that way, right? So your first number, so you'll see here in this chart, I have 23.1 and I have 49.3. We're looking at the number after the decimal. So mine is a 1, 3, right? That's what you're looking at for your profile. When you pull up your chart, you'll see profile 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 1. You'll have a variation of a number between 1 to 6. Your first line reveals how you learn, teach, and lead. Your second number, which we call lines with profile, shows how others see and receive you. You don't really need to know the nitty-gritty of this. Just find your number right now, and then we're going to go into what these mean. So for example, for me, I'm a 1, 3. So each number, we have profile lines 1 to 3. You'll have a variation of 2. So line 1, if you have a 1 in this profile, is the investigator. You are deeply curious, researcher. Building solid foundations is your jam. So you may find as a 1, you get drawn into certain themes, certain topics, you want to learn all about it, and that's your bread and butter, and that's what you get to teach in your content, right? So sharing in your content detailed, well-researched, informative content. I'm a 1, right? I teach human design. I teach strategy. In my content, I use a lot of explanations, a lot of how-tos, a lot of whys. I go deep into the why this should be a foundational piece, why you need to learn this, right? So when you share this way, when you actually embody the role of being a teacher in your content, your audience is going to see you as an expert, an authority, and they're going to trust you, which then means they're going to buy from you. So an example of types of content you can create according to your human design profile is educational posts that answer the why or the how. So I do a lot of kind of step-by-steps or by human design type. This workshop, I'm explaining to you, I'm teaching you these elements of human design and how to implement them, right? So if you're the 1, information is your friend. And also don't be afraid to start before you're ready. There's a vulnerability that comes with the 1 where it's like, I don't know enough, or I can't share this yet because I'm not qualified. You don't need another qualification. You know the stuff. Put it out there. Just start teaching. Start teaching what you're learning. That is literally how you'll go deeper and you'll have a great impact. Okay, so the line 2 is the hermit. So this is the naturally gifted, seeks alone time for creativity and shines when called out. The 2, I literally see a pearl in a shell. That hermit energy, sometimes you're going to be on, you're going to be creating, you're going to be wanting doing all the things. And then there's also going to be times where you're introvert and you're working on things behind the scenes. You're gestating that pearl. And when it's ready, the shell will open and you'll be able to give your pearl to your audience. Now, I will say consistency is key. You're growing a business, you're going to want to nurture that business. So please don't ghost your business for 2 months and use the excuse of, I'm a hermit and I'm gestating my pearl. Doesn't work that way. But you can batch create when you're in your outward phases, and you can post when you're in your hermit phase things that you've created before, right? So there's a way to stay consistent here. But the content creation style here is sharing your natural gifts and talents. Also, there is an element with the line 2 that you'll be called out. So you may see something in your environment that you want to respond to. You might get asked a question by somebody. Feel into what questions are coming up for you, what insights are wanting to come through you. That is the best content that you're going to create. Share behind the scenes content or personal insights that you have around your specific niche or area. This is really, really going to help you position yourself as this person who just holds the wisdom, holds the gems, right? Then we move into line 3, the experimenter. If you have your human design pulled up, that's probably going to read as the martyr, but I like to call it the experimenter. This one is all about trial and error. Where have you been? What are the shortcuts you're learning? What's the forks in the road, the hurdles, the failures that you've had? Embrace imperfection. Embrace the messy middle. Embrace the I'm figuring it out too energy, and share your wisdom from lived experiences. So with the 3, do not be afraid to talk about yourself and, this is where I was before I did this. This is why I share this thing. So the content creation style here is these really honest, I tried this so you don't have to type energy. So stories of your journey, like I said at the beginning, the reason I teach this is because I went in the cycle of creating content that wasn't aligned to me. It felt off, it felt icky. And so my results reflected that. And so now I teach this because I want you guys to have the shortcut and take the shorter route, because I went the long way and you don't have to now, because this is it, right? So it's this kind of I tried this so you don't have to vibes. I've been there, done that, bought the ticket, got the shortcut. Like, let me show you the shortcut. Let me show you the way to do this. So examples are stories of your journey, stories of lessons learned, and practical tips from your experiences. Now we dive into the 4. So this is the opportunist. This is all about connection, building your web. I see a visual when I think of the 4 line of a spider's web. Each tiny piece of that web is just a greater way that you can have opportunity and you can call things in. And so this one is building strong networks, influencing through connection and community. And so when you're creating content, create inclusivity. Ask your audience what they need. Ask your audience what they think. Foster that connection, collaboration, and trust within your audience. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a massive audience and be an influencer and all that jazz, but you could have 5 followers and still foster connection. But it's all about like speaking to your people, speaking to your ideal person in a way that they're like, she's speaking to me. I feel like I'm a part of this, right? So share personal stories, share testimonials of people in your world, collaborative efforts, emphasize the community, emphasize shared values, speak to your values in your niche, and call in this person through that, because you'll build that web. And a lot of 4s I see, when doing this correctly, they end up with a lot of referrals because they build that beautiful network. Okay, the 5 is the problem solver, or if you're looking at your chart, it's going to be called the heretic. So this is I like to call them the solutionist. They see what needs to change and they offer a solution for it. So they are the fixer. They are the, hey, this is the way to do things in a way that's really going to solve your problem at the root. And so share content that identifies problems. We're going to get into problem content types soon, but identifies the problem and provides an actionable, innovative solution. Be careful though, being a 5, that you're not trying to fix and solve a problem for absolutely everybody. Get really clear on your person, and that's who you're solving the problem for. Otherwise, you're going to end up burnt out and you're going to end up being projected upon because people are just like, hey, that's not correct, right? So problem solving posts, frameworks, strategies tailored to meet your audience and your niche's needs. These are going to be key. Line 6 is the role model. So the role model lives in 3 stages, right? The learning stage, which is 0 to 30, 30 to 50 sharing stage, and then 50 onwards is the leading stage. Now, doesn't necessarily mean if you're a line 6 role model that you will only be successful when you're 50, but it's just about knowing these are different stages. When I think of the 6, I think when you're creating content, go to the Hollywood sign of your life, right? Okay, what empire have I built so far? What burnt to the ground? What would I leave? Where would I lead from? What have I learned? What lessons can I teach? This is all about embodied wisdom. So you inspire others through your own personal evolution. I always say, if you're not sharing your story as a line 6, you're leaving money on the table. A lot of line 6s say to me, I don't know my story. I'm like, okay, well, zoom out. Literally create a document right now that's like your origin story, where you choose a starting point and look at all the things that have transpired since, pull out the breakthroughs, pull out the failures, pull out all the lessons that you've learned that have shaped you into who you are. Teach on that, share on that. That's where people are going to trust you and they're going to choose you as the person that they want to work with and your services, right? So example here are inspirational posts that are about your evolution, your long-term vision, and big picture insights. So next up, final piece of human design that I do want to share with you. Of course, everything runs very deep, but I had to cherry pick some bits. Is the observer versus observed. Now, you might not have heard of this. This one is really, really cool for the type of content that might suit you best. And so a lot of the time, the content that we are absorbing is not necessarily the content, and that we enjoy absorbing is not always the type of content we are designed to create. And we can get confused like, oh my God, I love these day in the life videos, but I can't create one for the life of me, okay? Well, you might not be designed that way. So what I want you to do is pull up your chart. And I want you to look at the arrows in your chart. Again, if you don't have it, go to the link in my bio, get your free chart. So you're going to look at the arrows that, for me, I have all 4 of them pointing left. You're going to look at the arrow that is the bottom left arrow. So it's the light blue one here for me on the bottom left of the chart. This one is basically going to show you whether you're what's called observed or an observer. If your arrow points right, you are the observer. This is where you're designed to tune into what's around you. You're designed to watch, you're designed to reflect, you're designed to share your perspective from a zoomed out lens. So, talking directly to the camera may not be the thing that serves you most. Now, you can still do it, but it's through the lens of here's what I've seen, here's what I've observed, and this is what I think about it versus, hey, everybody, look at me, right? And be in that kind of influencer role, I am role. So think POV style content, commentary, or insight from things you notice in your world. This content lands best when you're speaking from observation, not as the focal point. Now, if your arrow points left, you are what's called observed. You're actually here to be watched, to be observed, to be seen. Now, you don't have to like stand and perform, but the content, the energy draws people in when you're front and center, you're teaching, you're guiding, you're leading from personal presence. This is like what I think, not what I've seen, what I think. This is what I'm doing. Come along with me, right? So, selfie style content, talking head reels, being the message and being the messenger versus I'm seeing a lot of this and this is my perspective of it. Yes, you can still do perspective content, but again, it's about front and center. I think this about that, right? So content becomes magnetic when you actually let yourself be visible. This has been a game changer for me and my clients. I'm observed and I do a lot of kind of front-facing camera content. It's a lot about my kind of journey, and then people come along and they want to have that for themselves in their way, and so we work together. And then when I see clients who are observer, this really, really helps them and they feel very uncomfortable recording content sometimes, but actually they're designed to see other things and reflect on that. And so definitely take this into account. Really, really beneficial. So don't overthink it also, right? Because it's really, really easy to start second guessing once you have this information. You might be new to human design and you're like, oh my God, am I doing it right? Like, am I using the right piece of my chart? What if I miss something? Oh my God, I have so much to learn. Like, I suck. Like, this is not it. The truth is, you can't get this wrong. You can't mess up being yourself, right? This is just little nuggets that you get to leverage along the way and that have really, really helped me and my clients. And so I wanted to give that to you. But your clarity comes from implementation, not more analysis. So even if you choose one thing that you implement from just what I've taught now, that's enough. Okay. So follow what feels exciting, follow what feels natural, and tune into your energy. You can come back to this workshop anytime. You'll refine as you go and you deepen mastery by doing. I did not learn all of this overnight. I'm teaching you 6 years of hurdles, of failures, of shortcuts in this workshop, right? So trust what's lighting you up, play with it, and adjust later. So now let's dive into why strategy matters, okay? Business strategy. Energy alone isn't enough. This is why a lot of people end up in that fluffy kind of trust in the process. I'm just journaling it out. I'm just envisioning my process. I'm just like learning my astrology and my human design, but I actually don't know how to run a business and I don't know how to market my content. It's not enough. It really isn't. I wish I could tell you that it was, and I have been there where I was like, no, I don't want strategy. I'm going to be boxed in. That's not the case when you have one that suits you. You can feel so aligned in your energy, but if you don't communicate or guide your audience in the right way, it won't convert, it won't stick, it won't scale. It's simple as that. It really, really is. And this is what I went through. And a lot of my clients go through when they come to me. It's just not sticking. Why? Because we're being too vague. We don't know who we're speaking to. We don't have the strategy and the plan to support us. So strategy isn't here to override your intuition. It's here to support it. It's like that masculine, feminine container, right? The masculine holds the feminine. The feminine is the energy. The masculine is a strategy. You need two to be able to create this ecosystem that is your business. So let's dive into the 3 pillars of content creation, right? So first is your clarity. Know who you're speaking to and why it matters. This is your ideal client, right? Inside of the Notion workboard at the end of this workshop, you are going to get prompts to get really crystal clear on this ideal client. Please don't skip this. Super important. You cannot speak powerfully to one person, your person who's ready to buy from you, if you're speaking to everybody, right? If you're being too vague. Clarity creates confidence for both you and your audience. So that is really important. I skipped this step for, again, years. And this is me being a line 3 human design. Please don't skip this step. It's so important. When I do this with my clients, so much changes in such a short amount of time because there's clarity. When you know who you're speaking to, you know what to create, you know how to action it. people are going to buy from you. Next up is consistency. So showing up even when it's imperfect. You do not need daily posts. You need a rhythm that works for you. Again, I will say you are building an ecosystem. If you take a dip in creativity, consistency, and you've just planted a seed that is your business and you don't water it, it's going to die. You'll have to start again. So how can you be consistent in your business and water your business in whatever way that it is? But you don't need to follow what everyone else is doing. There's so many rules out there. You get to make your own rules, but also consistency is key. The algorithm doesn't reward perfection, it rewards presence, right? And so how can you show up for your business in some way every single day? How can you put content out there? And again, find a rhythm and a plan that allows you to be consistent. And conversion. So great content doesn't inspire, it invites action, right? So if you're getting the, oh my God, you're so inspiring, I'd love to work with you one day, that just means that you're not communicating enough that your person knows that they need it right now, or that you're the solution, right? And so it feels shitty when that's happening, but it's a massive cue that this is the kind of work that you're being called to do. Are you guiding people towards the next step? Or are you leaving them just floating there like, okay, cool, I like this person's account, but like I'm not going to buy from them because they've not given me a reason to, right? And it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's real. Conversion happens when people feel seen and supported, right? So success comes from layering these pillars consistently over time. And again, over time. You are not going to start a business and immediately it's like, bam, all these clients, la la la. This takes time. It does. And so anchoring into the long-term vision is how you're also, one, not going to lose your mind, and two, you're actually going to enjoy the process of building something organic and sustainable. So let's look at the business as an ecosystem and a funnel, right? Not every post is meant to sell. Not every story is meant to teach, and not every reel is meant to go viral, right? Sometimes we're focusing on that virality, or we're focusing on educating, providing value. But if we're not actually looking at the whole ecosystem in the funnel, which literally is like this funnel, then you're not going to convert people because they're going to be stuck at different segments, and you're missing certain parts that are crucial to taking somebody on a journey from being here on your page new to buying from you, right? So each piece of content plays a different role. And when you know what role it's playing and how to be intentional with that piece of content, your audience can move through your world with clarity, trust, and a desire to work with you. So literally view your business as a funnel. Right at the top of that funnel is top of funnel. This is where people are going to land on your page. They're new to your page. They've come through a piece of content. And this type of content, when you do top of funnel, is a lot of the time what you see on your explore feed, right? It's the type of content that is kind of general, but still speaks a little bit to the niche. An example here is like a day in the life of a fitness influencer, or what I eat in a day. Excellent top of funnel because it still applies to a niche. But a lot of people who don't need a fitness coach will still watch that and be like, ooh, new recipe, la la la, right? So it's vague enough that it attracts a wider audience. So it grabs attention, it increases visibility, and it reinforces the desire. So if you're a health conscious person and you see this fitness coach post what I eat in a day, you might follow them just because it's like, oh, cool, this is inspiring. I love that, right? So it's inspiring, controversial sometimes as well, relatable, and just general value and tips. So this is the type of content you want to be creating when you want to gain more visibility. This brings people in at the top of the ecosystem. Now they're at your page and they're like, okay, cool, I'm here. I followed, all right? Then we move to middle funnel. So this is all about building trust. This is all about nurturing. So now they're in the middle, right? They've gone from like inspirational, I want to be here, I follow, to, okay, cool. Well, am I just inspired by you? Or is this something that like actually I start seeing you as an authority? So this builds trust. And what it does, it reinforces you and your methods, what you do, as a solution to a problem this person is facing. So content types here are proof, right? Yourself, your clients, perspective and authority, hype, specific content that's educational, nurturing, and also problem aware and perspective shit. Oh, I already said perspective. Problem aware that really highlights the problem someone's facing. A lot of people skip this step. They stay at top of funnel, inspirational, and they never speak to the problem that someone's facing. Now, in my world, we don't do pain points, right? We do not do the making someone feel like crap. in order to buy, but we do create resonance, and you only create resonance with highlighting where that person's currently at and what they're experiencing. So this one is really important, especially when you want to nurture that audience. Let's say you get an influx of followers, then you want to go into this middle type content. Then we have bottom of funnel, where your people are kind of popping out the bottom, and this is where they convert into buying from you or downloading a freebie or something like that, right? And the freebie piece will also come in the middle funnel. So bottom funnel, paint the transformation and convert your clients, right? So what it does is let them know why now, why how, why this, and why you, right? Why now, why this, why you, right? So content types, case studies, testimonial, social proof, behind the scenes of what's going on, what it is that you're offering, direct offers. Hey, like, sign up now or you're going to miss this bonus. This is where you bring in that activational element, right? So you're really moving people off the fence here. And again, this is how someone moves through the funnel and they come out the bottom as a paid client. Now, this is how we see our business as a funnel. Then we're going to move into the types of content and when to use them. So what you're going to do here, each content relates to a different aspect of the funnel. So types of content, they can vary. You can use them at different elements of the funnel, and so, but you want to be cycling between these different types, right? So problem aware, very, very important piece of content, especially if you're in a launch. You're speaking to your audience's struggles, and not just like you want more abundance, like literally what is in their head right now? What are they worried about? What is the direct thing that if you waved a magic wand you could solve, right? So you grab attention by meeting them exactly where they are. So if you're feeling stuck and unsure of your next move, here's what's holding you back, right? This is where, like, for me, I would speak to a lot of people are focusing on their energy and their astrology and their human design, but they've not got a tangible plan. And so they're left spiraling and they're putting so much effort in and you're not seeing the results. Why? Because you don't have strategy. Here's the piece, right? Then we can go into things like perspective, which is almost going to be blended a little bit with problem aware. This is where you challenge common misconceptions. So again, like, this is where old beliefs, you spark curiosity by shifting someone's perspective. So I'm like, okay, you think you need to download the viral reel hooks, or you think you need to go viral to sell. Actually, it could just be aligning with your energy. Someone's like, wait, aligning with my energy? What? I've shifted their perspective here. So now they're actually looking to me as like, okay, tell me more, right? So I'm nurturing. This is the middle funnel type of content. Problem aware is also middle funnel type of content. Could also be top of funnel, but it depends on like where you're at and what kind of outcome you want. Solution focus, showing them it works. So this is how you demonstrate that your method solves a real problem. So this is what I'm doing right now in this workshop. I also do this in carousels where I'm like, here's how to gain more clarity in your business by tuning into your human design. And I'll walk them through the process. So you can also say, like, this helped my client go from X to Z. You're actually showing them your method in real time, giving them a snippet of that, and then positioning your offer as the solution. So again, this is kind of middle funnel content. Educational, teach and building trust. So establishing authority, delivery, tangible value. How to, simple guide. Show them the process, walk them through a mini version of this process. And then we go into activating, converting. So this is bottom funnel. Inspire, empowered action. When you're leading into a launch or you want to funnel a lot of people through, if they've already been in that top of funnel, middle funnel, and they're nurtured, they're educated, they're aware of their problem, this is when you go into activating. You make an invitation. It's time to start waiting and it's time to start building. Here's how. Limited time available, limited spots. Why now? Speak to the imagine if. Like, here's what could change if you do this thing. Here's what won't change if you don't. You trigger them. And it's not triggering in like manipulation, but you activate someone to move, right? So this is really, really important. Then we're going to move into keeping it tangible, right? This is kind of one of the last pieces because I have been here. I've used the fluff words. I use alignment a lot. You'll see that in my content, but you need to have context behind these words. There's so many words chucked around now. Highest timeline. I'm activating you into your power. Time freedom, location freedom, abundance. Alignment isn't a strategy and abundance isn't a message, right? Energetic words are beautiful, fluffy words are beautiful, but everybody's using them and they don't land without real world context. Your audience needs to know what you do so you don't activate people into their highest timeline. you maybe help them feel more alive in their body and more joy in their body. And so then they're attracting the right experiences. But like, that's so vague. People, that's not what people are thinking when they think, oh my God, I have a problem. I just want to be activated into my highest timeline. They're not thinking that. What they're really thinking is, oh, I really want to like be able to afford to go on a holiday that allows me to XYZ. Okay, cool. We speak to that in our content. They want to know who it's for and what changes when they work with you, right? So if they can't see that clearly and they're just seeing like activate your highest timeline, they're going to scroll by, all right? So words like embodied, activated, abundant, freedom, they can work, but you need to back it with tangible outcomes and grounded examples. Get inside their head. What are they thinking about? Right? What are they worried about at 10 p.m. when they're meant to be watching a movie or meant to be winding down for bed, but they're thinking about what they want? What are they scrolling online? What are they downloading? Right? Like, you've downloaded the content creation freebie. So in my content, I speak to like, hey, I speak to that process so that you're like, okay, cool, I want that, right? If your content is all concept, no clarity, people won't know how it applies to them, even if the work is deep. You're not just selling energetics, you're not just selling fluff, you're guiding someone through, right? So becoming intentional with content creation, when you root this in your authenticity, it's going to build trust, right? This is why we fuse human design with the strategy. You don't need to post more, it needs to be on purpose. When you know why you're posting, you stop playing with quantity and force and you start creating quality that actually moves people. So, in terms of application from this workshop, you are going to get given the Notion workbook at the end of this. Go in, there's examples, there's prompts, like really get this data down and move it into motion. Start with the ideal client, start with the human design, because that's going to lay your energetic foundations and the clarity. Then you can start implementing the prompts, because I literally go into so many different ways of creating content. So there's so much more that you have accessible after this. I don't want to just teach you information. I want to give you ways to implement it. So insight's only half the story. Implementation is what makes it real, right? So, little bit about me and how things have shifted. Once I stopped forcing and I started to implement everything I've taught you today, I literally now create content super easy. I have a plan in place. When I launch, I know exactly what steps I'm taking. When I'm not launching, I know what I'm doing in the interim to nurture my audience. And I really don't look at other people in the online world anymore, because I'm doing my thing and I trust it, right? I have my creative flow. I honor the space when I need it. And I'm able to take time off. I don't work that often. I work a couple of hours a day. Sometimes I take weeks off at a time, because I create and I have the plan, right? And everything's more magnetic because I'm anchored in my business. I'm me in my business, and I'm the same person you'll meet on the street, and that converts, right? And I went from clients coming sporadically and not sure what I was doing to attract them, to having reoccurring income, having people request to work with me, having referrals. And there's a consistent influx of the most incredibly aligned humans. And they're not just like random clients. They're people where I'm like, I could literally be friends with you because I've called you in, because I'm so clear on who I'm speaking to, that like, I know I can help you, right? And also from wanting to literally quit my business to be free of pressure, to craving my work. Like, when I take time off, I literally want to crave my work. And it isn't just me. Like, I've worked with hundreds of clients at this point. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm good at what I do. And everybody's results are different. Some clients come to me where they want more easeful content flow, and now they're able to create content on tap. They know when to create what and what to say and how to say it. Selling out their first launches, bringing in one-to-one clients rebooking, making sales when they've not made sales before, inquiries pouring in, attracting their ideal client. Like, it's so beautiful to see. And it is a byproduct of getting clear on who you are and how you deliver your content, and also who you're speaking to, right? Speaking to your person so that they feel seen and heard and they trust you, and taking them on a journey so that they're qualified to be in your world. It's going to be so much more fun when you have this, and you're actually going to see the results that you need. And so these are just some results that I have that I wanted to share with you guys. Take a little look. Feel free to pause the screen if you want to read through these. So when you fuse energetics with strategy and you place yourself in environments that meet you where you're at and support you, this is where you're going to see real progress and also consistent progress. So I want to invite you, as I mentioned at the beginning, into a space I created that really painted the picture of like why support is so key and why placing yourself in an environment that meets you where you're at and supports you on the journey of business, because man, it ain't easy. I know this. And when you have support in your pocket, it changes the game for you. It takes you from, wobble to breakthrough. And we need that sometimes. And this is what keeps that consistency and momentum going. So I want to introduce you to my membership space, Expanded. So this is a multi-dimensional support space, monthly membership for the woman who is rewriting the rules and knows success does not have to be a solo journey. This is not a program. This is not something to get through. This is a space that holds your business energy and evolution together. Honestly, I've ran quite a few programs at this point. I've worked one-to-one with hundreds of clients. I've done readings, I've done sessions. And what I really noticed in these spaces is that support is so key. And just having a space to land, having a space to share, having a space to drop the heavy weight, having a space to come in and say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Like, I want to burn it to the ground today. Or ask a question is the difference between a lot of people that fade out and disappear and quit their businesses and the ones that actually grow something sustainable and grow within that process too and become a really powerful leader. So if you loved this workshop, if you're like, wow, shit, I got a load of value from this, you're actually already experiencing what Expanded is about. This was the first official workshop inside of Expanded. So you're the reason I built this, right? This came to light when 2 years ago, I wanted to create a space. And at the time, I realized that I'd actually copied somebody else's model. And so I tabled it. And then when I launched Business by Design, my human design and business strategy program, it's basically an extension of this workshop. I realized, like a lot of the women were saying, I don't want this space to end. The Telegram community I had created inside, they were like, this is really supportive for me. And this really has helped me stay consistent, help me have a place to land. I don't feel so alone. Not everyone has, the space offline where they can come to with their ideas, and we're trying to navigate it all alone. And so they were getting results from the support. It was the connection, the daily touch points, the ability to ask a question and get it answered by me, by other women inside, other business owners. And so this community energy, I really started to see so many breakthroughs happening, so many moments where people would be like, they come in with a worry, or they come in just really wanting to be like, oh my God, like, I just don't know what to do. And they would have the support and they would break through and they would sign a client, and it was just beautiful to see. And this is what made that momentum stick. And I knew that not everyone needs another program. They just need a space to come back to, a space they belong to, a space they can get familiar with, that they connect with other women, and a space that evolves with them, right? And this is exactly what Expanded is. Like, it's not this top-down mentorship where I'm the leader. It's actually a space where we all get to grow together, because I know what it's like to do business alone. And honestly, I won't do it without support now, because I've tried, and it's not fun. So the membership space is already live. At the moment of recording this, we have 16 members inside, and where the conversations are happening, we're checking in, we're supporting, we're asking questions. Sometimes our calls are about taxes. Sometimes our calls are about love and, navigating the ebbs and the flows and the shit shows and being women and our menstrual cycles. The chat is so supportive, and we're diving into all these different things, right? So this is for you. If you don't want another program, you don't want, something to catch up with, you want something to belong to. You want a space where there's no pressure to perform. You just want to tap in, have a look at the insights being dropped, read through the chats, maybe even just binge the library. And that's it, right? Like, just a space that you can kind of pop into when and if you need it. You already are leading yourself, but you crave a space where you can be supported, where you can grow with other women inside, and you actually have that community base of people who get it. You're building a sustainable business that reflects your whole self, mind, body, soul, and mission. Like, this is not just about business, right? I teach business, but I also wanted a space where I could teach you all facets of business, the strategy, the energetics, the embodiment, the messaging, the confidence, even relationships, right? You're ready to grow in the multi-dimensional sense where you can get a training. If you want to learn about mapping out your business to your menstrual cycle, cool, we make a training for that, right? You're ready to become part of a community with other women who get it, and you know your expansion is meant to be witnessed, not hidden. A lot of women in this space, they come in and they leave a better leader, and they become a better leader because they actually learn to take up space within this space, within Expanded, and that actually ripples out into their business. So imagine you didn't have to second guess your next move, because you could come into our Telegram space and be like, hey guys, I'm ruminating on this thing. Like, can I get insight? And immediately you can action that. You could tap into an ever expanding library curated by you and the women inside. I'm not just throwing trainings at you, I'm actually asking what you need and providing that held answers, insight, inspiration for the full spectrum of entrepreneurship, not just business, because it's not just about business. Your business finally felt like you were gaining momentum and not just a loop of like fall behind, perform, pivot, spiral, rinse and repeat. You looked forward to working because business actually feels good again. And also you look forward to working on your business because you know that you get to share it, get feedback, get support. And you had a space to ask questions, get feedback in the moment. A lot of the women, they're dropping their posts saying, hey guys, what do you think of this? Or, they'll listen to this training and be like, okay, did I implement problem aware correctly? This is where you can come to get those questions answered, where usually you have to figure it out alone. And you weren't just building a business, but you're building self-trust. You're building inside of a space where your expansion isn't just welcome, it's witnessed. So inside of the logistics, this is what you're going to get inside of the membership. So bi-weekly Q&A calls. So we're going to have a live call every 2 weeks where you can submit questions ahead of time, or you can bring a question live. Sometimes these calls literally just end up being like sister circle chats, or people submit their questions and I answer that live. So I will prioritize the questions asked and then we just dive in. Again, amazing. Imagine how much consistency and motivation you'd have if you had a 2-week touch point where you get to come to a call and like the momentum is shared, right? New live workshops and trainings every 6 weeks. So I will be asking what you guys need, what you're voting for, and I will create, what the majority vote is. These are what's available already inside. So you'll see the available now bit here. We have content by design, which is what you're watching. Emotional EQ, which is riding the waves of emotion and how to actually alchemize and turn them into something tangible and actually benefit from your emotions. Human Design Foundation. So if you're interested in learning the basics of human design, you can go here. It's like a 2-hour mini course. Somatic Space. So, it's not just about business, but it's about the energetics behind it. And so we have an EFT library, how to use EFT, subconscious tools so that you can actually move somatically through this process. When you have the wobbles, you have something to go to and tools to use to actually anchor a new belief into your body. And the trust method, which is literally a 61 module program that is all about surrendering, trusting the process and the personal development aspect of building a business and just life in general. So massive, massive education portal that will grow as we grow. Bonus guest expert sessions. So I'm going to be bringing in people here and there to teach you the things that maybe I'm not an expert in and that you want guidance towards. Think like email marketing, cycle mapping, feminine embodiment, and the expansion library. So I just explained the expansion library. Once you get inside of the platform, you will see your library, all the products available to you immediately. This is what's available now. And mini trainings delivered. So inside of the WhatsApp chat, there are different topics. So we have like the love bubble, we have insights, we have business mastermind. This is really cool because you can drop your content in here. You can ask a question. I sometimes come in with mini insights when I'm learning something. So inside the Telegram itself is just a whole other world of insight. Honestly, I think the Telegram is my favorite space because there's just so much you can learn even just being in that space. So that is everything that you get. Now let's jump into pricing. So to become a member, it is $80 a month. We are going to be rising to $99 once our next wave of members join. So now is the time, $80 a month for everything that I just shared. And this rate is locked in for you for life, right? But because you're here and you're watching this, I have a fast action bonus for you. So instead of $80, you get $65 a month. And again, this is locked in for life. So as long as you stay, you will be able to pay $65 a month for literally everything I've shared with you, the growing library, all the trainings that are going to be added in the future. $65 a month. So this is accessible for 24 hours after watching this. So make sure that you watch the timer here. And you will be able to access the link to sign up directly after this workshop ends in a moment alongside the Notion workboard. So already inside of the platform, we've been going at this point of recording this. I don't know when you're catching it, but we've been going for a couple of months, and we're having breakthroughs, we're having signups, we're having people joining events, we're having content clarity, we're having just wins and breakthroughs from the calls. And we want you to be a part of it. So this is the space that's going to hold you while you build the business that holds others. You literally are able to come as you are and rise as you're meant to. There's no pressure here. There's no to-do list. But if you're feeling like you're craving a space that supports all facets of you and that you get to tap into and become a part of and grow with, you're welcome here. Like, honestly, it's like one big best friend group. It's so amazing. I love turning on my phone in the morning and seeing all these women sharing and supporting each other, and delivering for you guys. It helps me deliver in a way where I can bring all my expertise to the table. And so I'm proud of this space, and I'm getting emotional, and I would love for you to be in here with us. So this is the end of the workshop. Don't forget your workbook. So when this ends, you're literally going to be able to download this workbook. And don't forget, 24 hours, $65 a month. This is the lowest rate it will ever be, locked in for life. And after 24 hours, this will rise to 80. So if you're feeling the pull, jump on it. If you have any questions, DM me at Bee.embodied on Instagram, and I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for spending the past hour with me. And I'm sending so much love, and I really hope that you gain some valuable insight from this today. Lots of love, and speak soon.